Have you ever been sitting on an airplane, looked at the toilet, and wondered what really happens after you flush? Does everything simply fall out of the aircraft into the sky? Is there a secret tank hidden somewhere? How can thousands of passengers use the same toilets during a long flight without creating a terrible smell inside the cabin? Believe it or not, one of the most misunderstood parts of an airplane is its toilet system. It looks small and simple, but behind that small door is an engineering masterpiece that has taken decades to perfect. Every flush, every pipe, every valve, and every storage tank has been carefully designed to work safely at an altitude of over 35,000 feet, where the outside temperature can drop below minus 50 degrees Celsius. Today, we're going to take you inside one of aviation's most fascinating hidden technologies. By the end of this documentary, you'll understand exactly where human waste goes, how it is stored, why airplane toilets make that loud sucking sound, and why many of the myths you've heard are completely false. But before we begin, if you enjoy discovering how the world really works, don't forget to subscribe to Raymap's Discovery. We create documentaries that reveal the hidden technology, science, and mysteries behind everyday things. Your support helps this channel continue bringing you high-quality educational content. Now, let's begin. Every day, more than 100,000 flights take off around the world. Together, they carry millions of passengers across continents and oceans. Some flights last less than an hour, while others stay in the air for more than 18 hours without landing. During that time, passengers eat meals, drink coffee, tea, juice, and plenty of water. Naturally, people need to use the bathroom. On a fully booked long-distance flight, the airplane toilets may be used hundreds of times before the aircraft lands. That raises an interesting question. How can such a small airplane carry so much waste without leaking, smelling, or creating health risks? To answer that question, we first need to understand something about airplanes themselves. Every kilogram of weight matters. Aircraft designers spend years trying to reduce even small amounts of weight because lighter airplanes burn less fuel. A few kilograms may not sound important, but over thousands of flights every year, reducing weight can save an airline millions of dollars in fuel costs. That is why airplane toilets are very different from the toilets we use at home. At home, gravity does most of the work. When you flush, several liters of water rush into the bowl. The water pushes the waste through pipes that lead into the sewer system underground. It is a simple design because gravity is always available. But an airplane is different. An aircraft climbs, descends, banks left and right, experiences turbulence, and sometimes changes its angle rapidly. Gravity alone cannot reliably move waste around the aircraft. On top of that, carrying hundreds of liters of flushing water would make the aircraft much heavier than necessary. Engineers needed a completely different solution. The answer was vacuum technology. This technology is so effective that modern airplane toilets use only a tiny amount of water compared to household toilets. Instead of relying on water to push waste away, they rely mostly on powerful air pressure. This makes the system lighter, cleaner, and much more efficient. Let's imagine you're sitting in your seat during a flight. You decide to use the bathroom. You lock the door, finish what you need to do, and then press the flush button. The moment you press that button, something incredible happens in less than 2 seconds. An electronic control system receives the signal from the flush button. Immediately, a special valve beneath the toilet bowl opens for a very short time. At that exact moment, a powerful pressure difference is created between the toilet bowl and the aircraft's waste storage system. Instead of water pushing the waste downward, air does almost all the work. The waste is sucked out of the toilet bowl at very high speed. That is why airplane toilets make that loud whoosh or sucking sound. Many people think the sound comes from a powerful pump. In reality, the sound is mostly created by air rushing through the system as the pressure equalizes. The movement is so fast that everything disappears almost instantly. Within a second or two, the valve closes tightly again. The bowl is left with only a small amount of clean water, ready for the next passenger. The entire process happens so quickly that many people never realize how sophisticated it actually is. But here's another interesting question. Where does all that waste go after it disappears? Contrary to one of the oldest myths about flying, it does not fall from the airplane. This rumor has existed for decades, but it is completely false. Modern commercial aircraft are not designed to release human waste into the sky during normal operations. Imagine how dangerous and unsanitary that would be, especially when aircraft regularly fly over cities, farms, rivers, forests, and residential neighborhoods. Instead, every flush sends the waste through specially designed pipes into a sealed waste storage tank located inside the aircraft. This tank is carefully built to prevent leaks, reduce unpleasant odors, and withstand changes in pressure throughout the flight. It is one of the strongest plumbing systems found in any form of transportation. Depending on the size of the aircraft, these waste tanks can hold hundreds of liters of waste. Large passenger aircraft that fly long international routes have much larger tanks than smaller regional aircraft because they carry more passengers and stay in the air for much longer. The tanks are not simply empty containers. Engineers design them with materials that resist corrosion, bacteria, and chemical damage over many years of continuous use. Special treatment chemicals are also added to help reduce odors, slow the growth of bacteria, and make the waste easier to remove after the aircraft lands. Unlike what many people imagine, the waste is not left sitting loose inside the tank. The entire system is sealed tightly to prevent bad smells from entering the passenger cabin. Even while flying high above the clouds, the cabin remains comfortable because the waste system is completely separated from the air that passengers breathe. In fact, the air inside an airplane cabin follows a different circulation system altogether. Fresh air continuously enters the cabin, while used cabin air is filtered and replaced. The toilet waste system remains isolated, ensuring hygiene and passenger comfort throughout the journey. This separation is one of the reasons why millions of people can travel safely every day without ever noticing what is happening behind the scenes. The technology may seem invisible, but every successful flight depends on countless hidden systems like this working perfectly together. Of course, storing the waste safely is only part of the challenge. The next challenge is making sure the entire system keeps working from takeoff to landing, no matter what happens outside the aircraft. Remember, a commercial airplane spends most of its journey flying at around 35,000 to 40,000 feet above sea level. At that altitude, the air outside is extremely thin, and temperatures can fall below -50 degrees Celsius. Those conditions would quickly freeze ordinary plumbing systems. If airplane toilets worked like the ones in our homes, water inside the pipes could freeze solid, blocking the entire system. That is one reason aircraft engineers chose vacuum technology instead of depending on large amounts of water. Because only a very small amount of water is used during each flush, there is much less liquid moving through the pipes. This greatly reduces the risk of freezing while also making the aircraft lighter. The waste storage tank itself is located inside a protected area of the aircraft where it is shielded from the extreme outside environment. The plumbing is carefully designed to operate safely throughout the flight, even as the aircraft climbs, descends, or encounters turbulence. Another interesting question many people ask is this: what happens if someone flushes while the airplane is taking off or landing? The answer is surprisingly simple. The toilet system continues to operate normally because it is designed to work under all normal phases of flight. Whether the aircraft is climbing into the sky, cruising over the ocean, or descending toward the airport, the vacuum system continues doing its job. However, passengers are always advised to return to their seats during takeoff and landing for safety reasons, not because the toilet cannot work, but because sudden movements of the aircraft could cause injuries. Now let's look at something that almost every passenger has noticed. Why is there usually a sign asking you not to throw paper towels, diapers, sanitary products, wipes, or other objects into the toilet? The reason is simple. The vacuum pipes inside an aircraft are carefully designed for human waste and toilet paper only. Unlike large city sewer systems, aircraft plumbing uses relatively narrow pipes. If someone flushes objects that do not break down easily, they can become stuck inside the system. A blockage can prevent toilets from working properly during the rest of the flight. Imagine a long international flight with hundreds of passengers, only to discover that several toilets can no longer be used because someone flushed something that should have gone into the rubbish bin. That would create a major inconvenience for everyone on board. To prevent this, airlines place waste bins inside every lavatory and remind passengers to use them for anything other than toilet paper. Engineers also install sensors throughout the system. These sensors monitor different parts of the waste system and can alert the flight crew if there is an unusual problem, such as a blockage or a component that is not operating correctly. Although passengers never see these systems, they help maintenance teams identify problems quickly after the aircraft lands. Speaking of landing, what happens to all the waste once the flight is over? This is where another fascinating piece of airport technology comes into the picture. As soon as the aircraft arrives at the gate and passengers begin leaving, specially trained ground service workers prepare the airplane for its next journey. One of their many responsibilities is emptying the waste storage tank. You may have seen a small service truck driving toward an aircraft shortly after it parks. Many people assume it is delivering drinking water or fuel, but another specialized vehicle is responsible for servicing the toilet system. This vehicle is often called a lavatory service truck. The truck carries clean water for the toilet system and has a large sealed tank designed to collect the aircraft's waste safely. The process is much cleaner and more advanced than many people imagine. A ground technician connects a large hose to a service panel located underneath or near the rear section of the aircraft. The connection is completely sealed. Once everything is securely attached, the contents of the aircraft's waste tank are carefully emptied into the truck. Nothing is dumped onto the ground. Nothing is released into the air. Everything remains inside a closed system designed to protect both workers and the environment. After the waste tank has been emptied, technicians rinse the system using cleaning fluids before adding fresh treatment chemicals that help control odors and maintain hygiene during the next flight. The truck then transports the collected waste to an approved airport treatment facility, where it enters the normal wastewater treatment process, much like sewage from homes and businesses. Another common question is whether airplane toilets have ever failed during a flight. The answer is yes. Like any mechanical system, problems can occasionally occur. A valve may fail, a sensor may detect an error, or a blockage may develop. When this happens, the affected toilet is usually locked, so passengers cannot use it until the aircraft lands. Modern airliners are equipped with multiple toilets, especially on long-haul flights, so passengers can continue using the remaining facilities if one becomes unavailable. Airlines also perform regular inspections to reduce the chances of failures. Before every flight, maintenance crews check many systems throughout the aircraft, including the lavatories. During scheduled maintenance, technicians inspect valves, seals, pipes, sensors, and storage tanks to ensure everything is operating correctly. This preventive maintenance is one reason airplane toilet failures are relatively uncommon despite the enormous number of times these systems are used every single day around the world. Perhaps the biggest surprise is that one of the least glamorous parts of an airplane is actually one of its most impressive engineering achievements. A system that most passengers use for only a few minutes has been designed to work safely in freezing temperatures, changing air pressures, constant vibration, and thousands of hours of operation. Every flush is the result of decades of engineering, testing, and continuous improvement. Sometimes the greatest engineering achievements are not the powerful jet engines or the advanced navigation systems that guide aircraft across continents. Sometimes they are the hidden technologies that most people never think about until they ask a simple question: where does everything go after I flush? Now you know the answer. Behind that small toilet door is a remarkable vacuum system, a carefully engineered network of pipes, valves, sensors, storage tanks, and ground support equipment, all working together to solve a problem that affects every passenger on every flight. It is another reminder that modern aviation is filled with brilliant innovations, many of which remain hidden from view, quietly making air travel one of the safest and most efficient forms of transportation ever created.